The generic ninja slot from Uprising yielded some functionally strong cards for the ninja class. Tiger Stripe Shuko is a fantastic legendary arm piece, and Double Strike is just an overall appealing card with pretty awesome design. Take the Tempo, a Majestic 1-drop for 5 attack with 3 block, though, is a card that I think is currently being overlooked, and I think it may be one of the best tools that some of the ninjas picked up in this set. While it isn't draconic and thus, yes, can be overlooked as not necessarily useful to Fi, at least in that line, we already know how important it is as a ninja player to stay in control. So today we're discussing how we can take and maintain the tempo by using this card to our advantage. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks, and welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. We're coming off the US release here for Uprising. It was last weekend, and I hope everybody's got great pulls. This set, I think it's pretty safe to say the set feels pretty awesome to open, right? We opened a whole bunch of boxes on the channel last weekend, did all the sorting and stuff. But we are back today. I wanted to talk about Take the Tempo, which is a card that I think is a little bit underrated from the set, and I'm pretty excited to get it on the table. Not necessarily with Fi, but with some of the other ninjas, primarily Benji. So before we get into that today for our advertising spot, I actually want to advertise the channel here, right? So as you can see right below, down we have channel members. Now what is a channel member? Basically, you go down about here and you can join up at the various member levels, and I have videos that are available for the members. You get to join the Discord and chat along with us. Plus we have the summer tournament, no longer spring, we have the summer tournament coming up with all sorts of awesome prizes, the tokens. Come over, join up, be a part. We'd love to have you, right? We'd love to have you over there. All right, so Take the Tempo. So this is a 1-drop with 5 attack, 3 block, by the way, which there's not a lot of 3 blocks in this set, particularly for Ninja. So when Take the Tempo hits, if you've hit 3 or more times this combat chain, banish the top card of your deck. That is not optional. If it's an attack action card, you may play it until the end of your next turn. So yes, if you don't, if it's a D-react, one of your attack reactions, I guess a non-attack, I don't see a ton of those in Ninja, right? But it could be, then you kind of get boned there, right? But if your deck is mostly attack action, which most of the ninjas play, then it's there available for you to do. Now, sure, if it's a blue, that you wanted that blue probably for your Kodachis or whatever. Because let's be clear, you're probably playing this with Kodachis, but this card's really, really, really strong, I think. So let's go ahead and talk the Benji scenario, because I think that's the scenario that I'm most excited about. And a lot of people are probably looking at this and like, what the hell are you talking about playing this with Benji? Well, what? Right? Because obviously Benji, it's too high, people can block it. But I think that's kind of the point, right? So that's why I like this card with Benji, is because A, it's really easy to get, and it doesn't have to be 3 or more times, by the way, with action cards. Your Kodachis do count. Kodachis are blockable with Benji, I get it, right? But here's the deal, right? You can get those hits in. And remember, this would also count as its own hit, so you'll need to hit 2 times before this, right? So when Take of Tempo hits, if you've hit 3 or more, so 2 hits going in to Take the Tempo. But again, you're like, why with Benji? I don't get it. So here's the deal, right? You throw this out. This is a card they can block, but it's a 2-card block minimum, right? A 2 3s, a 3 and a 2, something like that. So they're going to cost you 2. So one of the challenges when you're playing Benji, for those of you who've done it, you know that because they don't block, they can come back pretty hard. Right? Because they can't block as much, they have more cards in their hand, and they can come back pretty hard, right? So having a card like Take the Tempo to end your chain, where they actually do drop some cards out of your hand, is actually not a bad thing, right? So they're either going to let this hit, because if they're gonna block, maybe they'll block 3, like 1 card for hand, but like more than likely, if they're going to block, they're gonna block it all, right? More than likely. Otherwise, they're just gonna keep the cards back. So if it hits, you have an extra card next turn, or they're gonna put 2 cards in front of it, or even better for you is if they put equipment in front of it, which they're not going to do, right? But you'd love it if they do, but they're not going to put equipment in front of it, right? So what this either does is it lets you maintain your tempo because it pulls tools away from them, or it puts you in a stronger position next turn, right? It's basically a win-win to finish your line with Benji. That's my take on it. Again, I get that it doesn't fit into, the I have to hit every time package. I get it, but it's a really functional tool. And then you have something, I mean, in most cases, you're going to have, because you're running, basically Benji's running all attacks with Ancestral and Razor, right? That's basically what he's doing, because you're not pumping anything like that. So, and then, yeah, actually he's running even better than that as well. So that's fair. So, but you mostly have a deck full of something that you're going to be able to play on this. So, I mean, that's pretty much the take on Benji. That's why I'm really excited about it. Again, I know it's not necessarily intuitive, but it kind of it's basically a positive in every direction, right? If they do block it, great. They're not going to throw equipment in front of it, but if they do, you're ecstatic. And if it hits, you have that extra card for next turn, which you can then do all your things to try and get your Spring Tidings out and just go nuts, baby. Just go nuts. So, okay, so that's the Benji line. Again, that's one I'm most excited about. It's a really easy comparison with this card to Torrent of Tempo, right? Primarily because they have the same name, right? But they're both a 1 for 5. This one's a Chain Ender, which is interesting, right? Whereas Torrent of Tempo, right, a lot of times with Ira, you'll do that second, so it's a 6 or something like that, and try and get them out. But you could very easily do this, and do note, by the way, that if you do snappies, like if you know it's going to hit, you could snappies this, and it says end until your next turn. Until end of your next turn, it doesn't say have to play it next turn, so you can actually play it this current turn. If you were to snappies it or something, like that's a kind of a YOLO play, but like if you need to get back into it, it's definitely something you could do, and that's in general with all the ninjas here, right? So let's be blunt about this with Katsu. Sure, it functionally serves the same purpose we've been talking about. The drawback is it doesn't have combo, and a lot of time, right, he's trying to use his D-reacts, and it's just defending for 3. I mean, that's why this has 3 and not 2, right, is because of the flick-flack more than likely. But, Katsu probably doesn't get as much mileage out of this as Benji and Ira. So, okay, now let's talk Fi, right? We already addressed his Draconic line. Probably this doesn't work in the Draconic line, but this is effectively a Rupture card, right? It's not entirely, because the Rupture cards at 4, right, at link 4 or higher, they have an effect, or if they at least they threaten an effect. This does have to have the hits. But again, if you're you basically always want to use this with Kodachis for the most part, right? But if you're playing like the Rupture Fi package, this is also pretty strong for you because it can help you basically have 1 extra card sitting out there, and then you can maybe block a little more next turn, or the same type of thing. It makes them commit so that you can't get that bonus. And one of the nice things with the Rupture package is like you can still do the Phoenix Flame thing if you have the right cards to line up, and having that extra card kind of sitting in limbo out there and having access to it really sets you up in that position, or it sets you up in a better, more likely position to be able to get a flame or 2 out with your Rupture line, which again, you're not necessarily setting up for that because you're playing 100 wins or whatever you might be playing on your Rupture line. It does still give you a better shot at making that happen, being able to pull 1 back for Fi, get the extra damage in, or with Fi, get the extra damage in for free. So again, this is this as sexy as Double Strike? I don't think it is, right? I think Double Strike's pretty much going in everything. But I think this card's really functional. And just because it's not necessarily like straight up as good, quote unquote, or obviously good as a lot of the other stuff, I still think that we need to evaluate using it in our ninja build. So anyway, that's pretty much my take. I'm curious to know what you guys think about. Has anybody been using this? Maybe somebody even out there disagrees that I've been calling it an underrated card. I don't think so. I don't think people are like sour on this. I just don't think that this one's getting necessarily the attention it deserves, because I think this has a place in a lot of ninja builds, right? Maybe not Katsu, like I said. I do think you played in Fi. The Rupture, I think you played in Rupture Fi. I think Benji definitely plays this. I think Ira and Blitz, well, obviously in Blitz, I think Ira plays this too. So anyway, that's my take. Let me know what you guys think. if you agree, if you disagree, and anyway, we'll go from there. So again, if you're looking to round out those singles for Uprising, because we all just opened our stuff, don't forget Travis over at Fab Foundry. He's got them all up already. Prices are looking pretty good. If you go over there, you can use the link below to get there, and I'll actually get a small kickback from any purchase you make there, which helps me get some of the other cards I need. So anyway, thank you everyone very much for tuning in, and if nothing else, go Commando.